If there's anything that's making the business headlines since last afternoon, it is the RBI's supervisory action against Kotak Mahindra Bank. The RBI very clearly saying in their press release that the bank must cease with immediate effect from onboarding new customers through its online and mobile banking channels, as well as issuing fresh credit cards. Now, of course, to decode the fact that what this impact has been really so far, we are joined by market expert Nasir Salim, managing partner at Flexi Capital. Nasir, we have seen Kotak Mahindra Bank stock trade over 10% lower in early trade this morning. What are investors to make of this reaction?
Good morning, Sakshi. I think, we've been hearing this since last evening, post-market hours closure, as far as the Kotak Mahindra Bank barring is concerned to onboard digital clients and through digital platforms. I think clearly, in our opinion, while we will not talk about the stock in question, but clearly this could be a potential opportunity for clients. I can tell you that the RBI has been ahead of the curve most of the times. Sakshi, we saw this during COVID times as well. Something that the RBI has been doing very effectively. As a former banker, I can tell you, being part of a few audits, they have various heads under which a scheduled commercial bank, is audited. And I think clearly, as far as the Kotak Mahindra Bank is concerned, there have been certain slippages in terms of those compliances that need to be met by the RBI, and that guideline need to be met. I think the opportunity in itself could be a contra strategy, could be a contra call. The 10 to 11% decline in the particular stock, does not mean that the stock is not looking attractive. We must tell you, without talking about the particular stock in specific, on the whole, the sector, the banking and financial services sector, is something which we've been very keenly and avidly watching over the last few quarters, and it is an interesting sector that we are overweight on. Kotak Mahindra Bank is amongst the top 5 large private sector banks in India. It is, it's got a healthy balance sheet. The NIMs are looking attractive, and it's owned by a lot of large asset managers as well, who invest in mutual funds. So, in our opinion, from an investor's perspective, if that is the particular question, it's something which can work as a contra strategy, but in no way are we saying that it is a negative buy. The Kotak Mahindra Bank as a sector and as a bank in the particular sector is something which all investors should do their due diligence before investing. However, markets always discounts and accounts for negative news flow in the short term, and fundamentally rewards companies which are healthy in the long run. I think that in itself explains to you what my point is.
Right. Well, that is really the market perspective. That is really what you feel investors must watch out for going forward. But for those watching at home and those customers who have looked at this mandate, now the mandate very clearly saying by the RBI that, look, the bank will continue to provide services to its existing customers, including its credit card customers. There are two elements really to this. One, of course, the action on onboarding new customers through its online and mobile banking channels, and the other on issuing fresh credit cards. So really, what are people at home to make of this action, the supervisory action? Of course, Kotak Mahindra Bank on its part issuing a late night statement, a revised late night statement, if I may, on the fact that, look, the bank will adopt and look into the IT measures. But really, what are people at home who are today tracking Kotak Mahindra Bank, who are perhaps existing credit card customers, or those who are looking at joining in that force, really, to make of this?
So, Sakshi, first and foremost, I must inform you and all your viewers that there is no alarm bells ringing as far as this news is concerned. We've seen this in the past. I can tell you this, in December of 2020, HDFC Bank was also informed by the RBI to stop all digital transactions of onboarding until March 2022. It was only a matter of 15 months, and we saw that being lifted in March of 2022. So these are, and by the way, I also must tell you, Bank of Baroda, BOB, has also onboarded, has also been debarred from using online digital transactions to onboard customers. I think these are BAU, and it's a sign of a healthy audit check that investors, consumers, customers should be happy about. RBI as a regulator is doing its due diligence effectively to ensure, Sakshi, that there are no gaps that take place. The IT infrastructure, the IT space is dynamic. We've seen 46% rise in global frauds globally, 46% in fraudulent transactions in the last 4 years rising, and the number is rising. We've seen many millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, all of them getting impacted by this. Actually, we are getting into the age of digitization of transactions as far as banking and financial services is concerned. So it's only, I think, the timing which is of opportune moment at the currently that we feel that the RBI is coming forward and saying if there are any gaps, they are pointing it out to a scheduled commercial bank, in this case the Kotak Mahindra Bank, and this is something which is BAU. There is no need to worry. There is a clear statement has been issued by Kotak Mahindra Bank yesterday as well, and we are tracking the news flow since morning. There is no impact on any client transactions currently. Mm-hmm. Yes, obviously the two platforms that will get impacted is onboarding of new clients. Kotak had launched something called the Kotak 811, which was significant of 8th of November 2016, the day demonetization was introduced. And they said, this is the time when we will be looking at digital transactions, onboarding of digital clients. That has kind of been impacted for newer acquisitions, for newer clients, actually. The second quick one is obviously a new onboarding of credit card clients. But the existing clients who are being serviced currently, who are investing, who have put in their monies with Kotak Mahindra Bank or are using the credit card platforms need not worry at all. This is something which is checks and balances in place. And we are very happy. As an expert, I can tell you, we are very happy. It's only in times to come that this will become better and will ensure a more transparency, stickiness of clients. Consumers can feel more protected because RBI is doing its due diligence as required as per the regulator.
That's right. RBI really doing the due diligence. Remember, RBI very clearly mentioning that, look, such a measure, such an action has been taken after continued failure. We did see, of course, the RBI saying such statements also during the Paytm Payments Bank fiasco. So really, KYC norms, guidelines, crucial to follow for transparency in the system, Nasir.
Absolutely, Sakshi. As I told you, we've seen this in currently Bank of Baroda is ongoing its process of IT upgradation infrastructure. We saw this in HDFC, as I just mentioned to you, in December of 2020. It got lifted in March of 2022. And also, Sakshi, please understand, there is a lot of, changes happening on the KYC. A lot of customers today have been approached. I can tell you this as part of a private wealth management firm that I run. We've been asked to reinsure KYC is updated for clients as of 1st of April 2024. And we need to do it. It's something which is the regulator has come out and told us. We've got official communication on it. And I think there is a lot of importance being given on fraudulent transactions. I think that is where the RBI steps in. And we're also getting into a stage where, faceless banking is going to become the next new norm, Sakshi. I can tell you a lot of private sector banks, internationally, multinational banks, for example, in the US, without naming them, have manless branches. I mean, you can actually walk in to a somewhere in 5th Street in Manhattan, and you can walk in and walk out in half an hour getting a credit card. There is no physical intervention or manual intervention required. You just walk in, biometrics in place. So, we are moving towards that also. And Kotak and some of the other private sector banks in India have done that very effectively so far. So I think this is only an upgrade to the infrastructure that is required to support the IT and the growth that is expected to come in on account of faceless banking. And it's a welcome step in our opinion.
Right, a welcome step. Many, of course, telling us this may lead to short-term volatility. But in the long run, both for the markets and the customers, this is a step in the right direction. Do you agree, Nasir?
Absolutely, Sakshi. I think, we've heard this multiple times. Checks and balances and reactive measures as against proactive measures are always helpful. Reactive is something which is never accounted for, never helped any long-term business to sustain. If you've taken a proactive call and if you fix those issues, and it's part of an audit which has been pointed out, I think Kotak Mahindra banks and the others, many other private sector banks will also make use of this case study to ensure that they comply and make the entire process seamless, safe as far as customers are concerned, and ensure that there is no data leakage or data sanctity is protected.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your insights. And of course, like you mentioned, really in the long run, this is a step in the right direction. This will bring transparency in the entire financial ecosystem as we move towards the era of digitalization.